Hello everyone, welcome to my channel Growing with Viral. So today's video is more about documentary. We are discussing about how dependent Europe is on China. Let's start with China. So China is a modern day superpower, as we know that China is questioning US every time. So what what was the strategy China used? So China stayed on their strategy. That was the key thing. And China's ascent was carefully planned years ago, even decades ago. And Europe has also, steady relationship with China, but the, the the relationship between Europe and China were precarious all over the time. Shenzhen, the city where no limits on thinking, but the only limit is on technology. So if you can think something, then that thing can also happen in that city. The city is the heart in tech of China. Also, whether it is autonomous cars, autonomous vehicles, or a drone which delivers things to you in the city, because city has launch pads uh, all over the city. Also, you can have autonomous taxi beyond the autonomous car. So, autonomous taxi have all the things automated, whether it is booking, that is booking, paying, or riding, all things are automated. There is zero manual intervention, and that thing is very impressive if we talk about today's world. China soon hopes to catch up with the US, and Shenzhen is the poster child in this ambition. Also, same Shenzhen in 1980, this town just had population of 30,000, and people's major business they were doing was just fishing. And from that, the government of China has made an intuitive decision by declaring the Shenzhen as a special economic zone. And that decision turned it into drastic transformation for Shenzhen. And in just a decade, it grew like a very futuristic city. And in today's world, now there were around 18 million people living in the city, the brilliant minds from all over the world. China has now become the world's largest car manufacturer and exporter both. And also, China is the leader in today's electric cars market. And if we talk about Europe, then Europe is very dependent on China if we talk about rare earth minerals, as rare earth minerals for Europe either mined or processed within the China. And also, in today's world, where if we talk about current decision of US President Donald Trump, then they have tariffed China so well that China dramatically expanded its export control over the rare earth minerals. Now, Europe has growing concerns about the espionage activities were linked to China, and officials are especially cautious about one repeat offender who is arguably China's internationally successful business, which is Huawei. President Trump imposed sanctions on Huawei during his first term because any nation that controls information flow around the world, automatically their intelligence would control that flow and the data of that flow. So the reason behind these sanctions was that Huawei was tightly linked to the China's intelligence. So it is very important for US to control the Huawei's reach to the data of world. And also, many European countries have followed the suit of US as well. But Huawei since recovered economically, it now have its own operating system and has founded other chip suppliers and entered new market. Because after the sanctions, Huawei's major suppliers were banned to supplying to the Huawei. So they have um, found other suppliers and entered into the new markets. German-Chinese relations may now be strained, but they were once fueled by the ambitions on both the sides. And it centered surprisingly on an inland port in the western Germany, city of Duisburg. Duisburg was the terminus for the new Silk Road, which is for the uh, to and the direct trade to and from China. So, but this Silk Road were then never materialized, and the China is finding the new hunt partner for its new Silk Road, and Hungary is more than willing to join this partnership. The project includes Budapest Belgrade Railway. It should eventually improve connection to largely Chinese investor-owned port on Piraeus in Greece. Now, Hungary thinks that it will profit soundly from the project and expect that Chinese companies would become part of their economy. And in that year, 2023, China's 44% of direct investment were gone to the Hungary. Now, you might think that from this project, Hungary profits more, but that's not the picture because now next uh, term, turn comes to the China. So China is about 65 to 75% of global EV battery production. So China is the major manufacturer of EV batteries in whole world. Practically, all of the car manufacturers are dependent on China uh, because of because of these companies. China doesn't just want to become a supplier, but they also want to build and sell their cars, electric cars, because that is what the main reason behind this project they have done with Hungary. But the EU, the EU is also protecting domestic car manufacturers by imposing heavy tariffs on imported Chinese electric cars. And then comes the a Chinese company, a leading Chinese company, which is a major electric car manufacturer, BYD. Its full form is Build Your Dreams. But how China will be building their dreams in Europe. So what BYD thinks is that we have to circumvent the tariffs anyway. So rather than importing the whole finished car, they are importing the parts of that car and will assemble them in the Europe in order to circumvent the tariffs. And now, if we link the points, then we can see that China's interest and profit are fueling the project of New Silk Road with Hungary. Yes, China is investing in Hungary, and Viktor Orban, Prime Minister of Hungary, appears to be returning the same favor back to the Xi Jinping. And also, there is a one quote from European Commissioner for Competition, and I will finish my conversation with that quote. The quote is like, there is a risk if you are dependent on someone who has completely different system and pushes it, is that your sense of democracy and how to do it erodes. So yeah, this was from my side. If you have any comments about it, you can comment it, and thank you.